Other world leaders, Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, said he's no longer pressing for NATO membership for Ukraine. That's a major demand of Moscow. So whether because of the Israelis or because of the ground truth, well, the Ukrainians are softening up on their position just a little bit. Joining us now, Batya Ungar-Sargon, Newsweek deputy opinion editor. Batya, is the media ignoring this idea that peace is upon us?
You know, something kind of amazing happened this week, which was that on Monday, Vladimir Putin laid out 3 demands to immediately withdraw his troops from Ukraine. Now, we don't know if he's telling the truth or not, but those demands were these. The first was recognition of Crimea as part of Russia. The second was recognition of the Donbas region, Donetsk and Luhansk, as an independent area. And the third was that Ukraine, relinquish its desire and its request to join NATO. Okay, those were the 3 requests that Putin put on the table as a condition for withdrawing all troops immediately. Now, something amazing happened Monday night, which was that President Zelensky told ABC News that he had, quote, cooled off on the idea of joining NATO. He doesn't want to be begging for something that NATO clearly is not interested in, his opinion. And he also said that there was room to negotiate on Crimea and on the Donbas. In other words, both sides had really softened their position, inching closer and closer towards each other. Now, you might have expected a media that is anti-war and pro-America, right, to see this as a major, wonderful development and headlines to be, look, both sides coming closer and closer together. And instead there was a total media blackout about this.
Fair enough. Dan Abrams is playing a lot of that interview with Zelensky later in his show. We've talked certainly about what the possibilities are. Shouldn't the media, though, be really, really skeptical of anything Vladimir Putin says? This is a guy who told everybody he was withdrawing troops from the border and he wasn't going to invade, on and on and on. Isn't it our responsibility to be skeptical and even argumentative almost towards anything Vladimir Putin says?
Of course, we should be skeptical of what he says. We shouldn't believe that he's going to do it. But certainly, if he's laying out these things as a cause, as what he is looking for, right? You know, it is worth sitting down at the table, especially if Zelensky is saying, hey, I might be on the same page about some of these things. At least I'm willing to negotiate. Look, we should be anti-war. Everyone should be trying to do their best to make this end as soon as possible. And that, for the media, means reporting on the fact that these demands have changed.
We can go back and forth whether it should end as soon as possible, because it's always about the terms, right? If Vladimir Putin learns from the world that they'll roll over and just make it end because they can't endure this, then he'll do it again. That's what he learned in 2014. That's why we're at the place we're at. It's interesting because it's Naftali Bennett, the Israeli prime minister, who's been doing this shuttle diplomacy. He's doing, obviously, the Lord's work in trying to bring peace. At the same time, though, Israel has been near silent about the Russian atrocities and what the Russians are doing. And Israel's a country, you and I have talked about this, that when the civilian population in Israel is targeted, they cry bloody murder and talk about war crimes by the Palestinians. What the Russians are doing is 10 times worse.
You know, Leland, from Israel's point of view, Israel shares a border with Russia because there are so many Russian troops in Syria, and that is a border with Israel. And Israel relies on coordinating with the Russians in order to attack Iranian targets in Syria, right? So it cannot come out and full-throatedly condemn a country that for its own security concerns it relies on good relations for. But I would put this back to you. Isn't it so much more important that somebody has good enough relations with Vladimir Putin to be able to communicate with him, to communicate his demands, and to clarify them for Zelensky, which is the role that Bennett has been playing? I mean, don't we want somebody in that role?
Yeah, hopefully clear-eyed enough to speak truth in terms of what Vladimir Putin's doing. I guess it all comes back to what Winston Churchill, countries do not have permanent allies, only permanent interests, which, to your point, is proven here. Batya, thank you very much. We appreciate it, and we hope you're right that tomorrow brings us some good news. We'll see you soon.
Thank you. Yeah. Thanks, Leland.
All right. You heard it hear from her first. Thanks for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.